Isabella Martinez was restocking shelves in aisle 7 when she heard the little girl crying. At 32, Isabella had worked at Supermart for 6 years, earning barely above minimum wage while raising her own son alone. She knew every inch of the store, knew most of the regular customers, and had perfected the art of being efficiently invisible to management who preferred workers who didn't ask questions or cause trouble. But children crying was something Isabella couldn't ignore. She found the little girl in the frozen food section, perhaps 6 years old, hands pressed over her ears, rocking back and forth while sobbing. She wore a blue dress and had light brown hair in pigtails, and she was clearly in distress. Around her, other shoppers were giving her a wide berth, some staring with judgment, others deliberately looking away. Isabella immediately recognized the signs. Her own son had sensory processing issues, and she'd learned to spot meltdowns versus tantrums, to understand when a child was overwhelmed rather than misbehaving. She knelt down a respectful distance from the girl, making sure she was visible but not crowding her. "Hi, sweetheart," Isabella said softly, her voice gentle and non-threatening. "My name is Isabella. The lights and sounds are too much right now, aren't they?" The girl didn't answer, just continued rocking, but her crying quieted slightly. "I have something that might help. Would it be okay if I gave you something to squeeze? Sometimes that helps when everything feels too loud." Isabella pulled out a stress ball she kept in her pocket for her own son and carefully rolled it across the floor toward the girl. The little girl grabbed it immediately, squeezing it rhythmically. Her rocking slowed. "That's wonderful. You're doing so good managing these big feelings." Isabella stayed where she was, not touching, not crowding, just providing calm presence. "Is your grown-up nearby? Should we find them together when you're ready?" "She's having a meltdown because her father lets her behave like this in public," a sharp voice said behind Isabella. Her manager, Mrs. Hendricks, stood with arms crossed and a disapproving expression. "Martinez, get back to work. Let the parents handle their own children." "She's not having a tantrum, she's having a sensory overload," Isabella explained, keeping her voice quiet so as not to distress the child further. "She needs help, not judgment. I'm just waiting until she's regulated enough to help find her parent." "You're not a therapist, you're a stalker. Get back to work or you're fired." Isabella looked at the little girl, who'd started crying harder at the harsh tone, then back at her manager. "I can't leave a distressed child alone." "That's not right. Then you're fired. Collect your things and leave." That's when a man's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "What exactly is happening here?" Isabella looked up to see a man in an expensive navy suit striding toward them, his expression thunderous. He was perhaps in his early 40s, handsome and clearly wealthy, and he was looking at the crying girl with anguished recognition. "Lily!" He knelt beside his daughter, not touching but speaking softly. "Sweetheart, Daddy's here. You're safe. I know it's too loud, too bright. We're going to go somewhere quiet soon." The little girl, Lily, grabbed her father's hand and squeezed it desperately. The man looked at Isabella, who was still kneeling nearby with the stress ball. "You helped her." "I can see it. She's calmer than she was when I lost track of her in the chaos." "Thank you." "She was doing her job wrong," Mrs. Hendricks interjected. "She's supposed to be stocking shelves, not playing therapist with customers' children. I've terminated her employment." The man stood slowly, still holding Lily's hand, and turned to face Mrs. Hendricks. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. "You fired her for helping my autistic daughter during a sensory meltdown? For showing compassion and understanding when everyone else was either staring or ignoring her distress? Our employees have job descriptions that don't include, 'I'm Adrian Blackwood. I own Blackwood Industries. We're Supermart's largest supplier and your company's biggest business partner.'" Adrian's expression was cold. "And you just fired the only person in this entire store who understood what my daughter needed. The only person who showed kindness instead of judgment." Mrs. Hendricks went pale. "Mr. Blackwood, I didn't realize that your employee was doing something more important than stocking shelves? That helping a child in crisis matters more than corporate policy?" Adrian looked at Isabella, who was still kneeling beside Lily, stress ball in hand. "What's your name?" "Isabella Martinez, sir. Ms. Martinez, you've just been fired for doing the right thing. I'd like to offer you a job doing exactly that, helping people who need understanding. I need someone who can help my daughter navigate a world that doesn't always accommodate her needs. Someone who sees past the meltdown to the brilliant, sensitive child underneath. Would you consider working for me? Isabella stared at him, certain she'd misunderstood. Sir, I'm a grocery store stalker. I don't have fancy credentials. You have something better. You have instinct and compassion and real experience. I've had therapists and specialists who follow textbooks but don't understand my daughter. You knelt down, gave her a stress ball, and spoke to her like she was a person in distress, rather than a problem to be solved. That's exactly what Lily needs. Lily was calming now, squeezing the stress ball and leaning against her father. She looked at Isabella and said softly, "You helped me. You didn't yell or grab me like other people do. You're nice." Isabella felt tears prick her eyes. "You're very brave, Lily. Meltdowns are hard, but you got through it." Adrian pulled out a business card and handed it to Isabella. "Think about it. Call me tomorrow. We can discuss salary, benefits, everything you need. But please consider it. Lily needs people who understand her. And I clearly need to find better business partners who don't fire compassionate employees." He looked at Mrs. Hendricks with cold disdain. "As of today, Blackwood Industries is terminating all contracts with Supermart. I will not partner with a company that punishes kindness and fails to see the value in people like Ms. Martinez. Your corporate office will receive official notification within the hour." Mrs. Hendricks's face went from pale to ashen. "Mr. Blackwood, please reconsider. I'll rehire her immediately. Too late. The damage is done. Ms. Martinez, if you want to retrieve your personal items, I'll wait. You shouldn't have to spend another minute in a place that doesn't value you." Isabella did call the next day, and after a lengthy conversation, accepted Adrian's offer to be Lily's companion and advocate. The salary was triple what she'd made at Supermart, with full benefits and resources to help not just Lily, but Isabella's own son. Working with Lily was revelatory. The little girl was brilliant, creative, and funny when the environment accommodated her needs. She loved art and music and had an extraordinary memory for details. She just needed patience, understanding, and someone who could help her navigate sensory challenges without trying to change who she was. "You see her," Adrian said one evening after Isabella had helped Lily through a particularly difficult day, not as a problem or a disorder, but as a complete person who experiences the world differently. "Most people want to fix her. You want to support her?" "There's nothing to fix," Isabella said simply. "Lily is perfect as she is. The world just needs to learn to accommodate her instead of expecting her to accommodate everyone else." Adrian looked at this woman who'd risked her job to help a stranger's child, who brought the same patience and creativity to Lily that she brought to her own son, who never made Lily feel broken or wrong. He'd hired her out of gratitude and desperation. He was falling in love with her out of genuine admiration. "I fired my last girlfriend," Adrian admitted months later, during a quiet evening while Lily slept upstairs. She kept suggesting therapies to make Lily more normal, kept complaining about accommodating Lily's needs, kept making me feel like I was failing by not pushing Lily harder to conform. "I finally realized I'd rather be alone than with someone who saw my daughter as a burden." "Good," Isabella said firmly. "Lily deserves better than that." "You both do. The thing is, I don't want to be alone anymore, and I don't want just anyone. I want someone who loves my daughter for exactly who she is, who sees her neurodivergence as a difference rather than a deficit, who brings creativity and compassion to every challenge we face." Adrian took Isabella's hand gently. "I want you, Isabella, not just as Lily's companion, but as my partner, as someone who's become essential to both our lives." Isabella felt her breath catch. "Adrian, I was a grocery store stalker 6 months ago. I have a 9-year-old son with his own challenges. I'm not polished or sophisticated or any of the things someone in your position usually wants. You're exactly what someone in my position should want. Authentic, compassionate, strong enough to stand up to my business partner's manager even at the cost of your own job. You're my daughter's champion and my son's friend and the first person in years who makes me feel like I'm not alone in this." Adrian squeezed her hand. "I'm in love with you. Not because you're convenient, but because you're extraordinary. I love you too, Isabella admitted. I tried not to. I told myself it was just gratitude and proximity, but it's more. You value people over profit. You stood up for me when I was just a stranger who helped your daughter. You've welcomed my son into your home and treated him with the same respect you show Lily. You're a better person than you give. Yourself credit for, a year after being fired from Supermart for helping a child in distress. Isabella stood beside Adrian at a small ceremony where they merged their families officially. Lily served as flower girl alongside Isabella's son Marco, both of them beaming with the joy of siblings who'd chosen each other. In his vows, Adrian spoke with emotion that surprised the business associates who only knew his corporate persona. I watched Isabella get fired for helping my daughter, and in that moment I saw something rare, someone who valued doing right over keeping safe. She knelt beside a crying child in a grocery store and showed more understanding in 5 minutes than most specialists had shown in years. She taught me that Lily doesn't need fixing. She needs accepting. Isabella, you transformed not just my daughter's life, but mine. You showed me that success means nothing if the people I love are suffering, that wealth is worthless if I'm too rigid to see value in unexpected places. You gave up a job to help a stranger's child. I'm giving you my heart and asking you to help me be better every day. Isabella's vows were equally powerful. I was fired for kneeling down and offering a stress ball to a scared little girl. Adrian could have walked past, could have just thanked me and moved on. Instead, he offered me a job, a family, and a future I'd stopped believing I deserved. He saw value in me when society saw just a minimum wage worker. He stood up to his business partner for a stranger who showed his daughter kindness. Adrian, you taught me that there are still people who prioritize humanity over profit, who see potential in unexpected places, who understand that the best partnerships are built on shared values rather than convenient arrangements. I promise to keep advocating for Lily and any future children we have, to keep pushing you to choose right over easy, and to build a life where all our children know they're celebrated for exactly who they are. The CEO, who walked up to a fired grocery worker and said, "You work for me now," had found something more valuable than any business deal, a partner who'd proven her character before knowing his net worth, who loved his daughter without trying to change her, who brought authenticity and compassion to every challenge they faced. He'd witnessed someone lose their job for doing what was right, and he'd responded by not only hiring her, but by terminating a major business relationship with a company that didn't share his values. And the grocery worker who'd been fired for helping a child had discovered that sometimes losing everything for the right reasons leads to finding what you never knew you were searching for. A family that valued kindness over profit, a partner who saw her worth, and children who taught her daily that love means acceptance, accommodation, and the courage to stand up for those who need someone in their corner, even when it costs you everything you thought you had. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a time when doing the right thing led to unexpected blessings. Your stories inspire us all.